So when I heard that Kamala Harris, the junior California senator, was getting $1.5 million raked into her campaign within 24 hours of her announcement that she was running for president, tying, by the way, a Bernie Sanders record, I said to myself, watch this woman. Now, it might be very, very early, but it does bear watching. To Democratic commentator Danielle McLaughlin, who knows far more about this subject, and another fellow who knows even more than I do on any of these subjects, that is the GOP pollster, Chris Wilson. But, Chris, I'm sticking to that view that early on, Kamala Harris is proving a candidate that draws interest across the board. What do you think?
Well, I think it's one of the benefits of announcing earlier. I mean, Neil, as you know, I worked on Ted Cruz's 2016 campaign. He announced on March 23rd, and he was the first Republican to announce of 2015. So she's announcing earlier. You've got Elizabeth Warren's announcing earlier. But also point out, after Senator Cruz announced,
gotten the immediate bang for the buck that she has.
Well, no, they didn't. But after Senator Cruz announced, to put it in context, he raised $2 million in the first 48 hours. I wasn't able to find what we did in the first 24 hours for direct comparison. Then Rand Paul announced shortly after that, and he had a similar haul. Okay. So I do think it's a benefit. I also think it's a benefit of the platform the Democrats have really done an excellent job of building out in Act Blue. So it's more like whenever she participates in the platform and she announces, it's such a simple task to be able for someone to write send her a $40 donation. That doesn't necessarily mean that they won't make that same $40 donation to Cory Booker if he were to announce, or to Hillary Clinton if she were to announce again. So I think it's a different world.
All right, I understand. Daniel, what I'm saying is that builds your online base. That builds your social media grouping and the people who are going to follow you. And that list grows and grows beyond just the money. So what are we to make of this early return on her part?
It's excellent for the Harris campaign, obviously, and I would use Bernie Sanders, I think, as an example. You know, he left the 2016 campaign with about 2.5 million individual donors, which is a huge database of people to reach back out to time and time again, not only for money, but for policy and for his own recommendations and in other kinds of races. So it's about the money, but it's also about the contact that you can have with people and the extent to which you can utilize those people to spread your message even further. I will say that 2.5 million is only about a 1% of the US voting population, give or take. So any concern that people might have that we're going to go to the well too many times on the Democratic side, there's a huge amount of, I guess, space to grow, because most people don't donate to political campaigns for any number of reasons, not least of which they're not tax deductible. So I think that the well is big, and I think we're going to see this on the Republican side as well, although Democrats have made a much bigger deal about overturning Citizens United and getting back to this notion of small donations. You
know, Chris, I wonder, too, that, and you might have experienced this with Ted Cruz, that it starts something. It starts a conversation. It usually a conversation with younger voters, not all the time, but they're the technologically savvy ones, and that you want to get that passion going right away, right?
You do, and I think that is a benefit, and you're right about the Harris campaign and some of the other campaigns in terms of how they are going out and building these national bases and being able to communicate on a wide basis. My point is just simply that the Democrats have a wider pool to pull from in terms of small dollar donors, just sort of geometrically from what they've been able to build out, whereas with Republican campaigns, they have to do it individually. And that's why I think whenever Kamala Harris does that, it doesn't necessarily mean that other candidates won't do it moving forward. Now, maybe they don't. It does show that she is building a different type of movement than maybe we might have expected whenever, as you mentioned, junior senator from California announces her president. It's kind of like, well, yeah, her and 20 others.
It's going to be, you're going to need a lot of money to stand out. Danielle, is it your sense that there are 3 or 4 who will likely get a lock on that?
On the money, you mean?
Yeah,
I mean, I think that, so Clinton and Sanders is a good example. Clinton didn't really make too much noise about whether she was taking PAC money or not. In the end, she still won the nomination. But I think with a larger pool of candidates and younger candidates also looking at the millennials who are really going to be, who are going to be the largest voting bloc in the 2020 election, I think that small donor base and that I guess, rejection of corporate money and PAC money is going to matter more to the younger voter who, you know, we hope, in terms of a functioning democracy, actually do show up and vote and use their voting power, regardless of who they vote for.
Danielle, thank you. Chris, thank you.